Howdy, folks. It's Meandering Mike in the Man Cave of Madness. It is before midnight, and today we are covering the War Rooms 2024 10 Wargame Challenge. I completed my 2023 10 Wargame List Challenge, which I'm not going to cover here. I'm going to put that links down in the description of the stuff that I covered for 2023, if you want to find those. But in 2024, I'm going to play these 10 games. I'm going to commit to playing these 10 games for the challenge. Now you might say, this is more than 10 games here, Meandering Mike. Well, we'll explain this stack here. These are my 10 games here in this. Now, some of these games are things that I've mentioned on my channel earlier. I had done a States of Siege game in 2023, and I had a poll, and you guys chose that I'm going to play Mound Builders. So we are now getting to that. We are going to play Mound Builders, a States of Siege game. So this is one on my 2024 list for the War Room. All right, there it is. States of Siege game by Ben Madison and Wes Ernie. All right. I also mentioned Wizard Kings. I had 2 games that were sent to me as review copies from Columbia Games. One was Wizard Kings, and the other one, I believe, was Western Front, one of their block games. And I had a poll, and you guys chose which one I was going to review on the channel, and that I would give away that game a shrink. After I open it, I'll have a shrink copy spare. That I'll give away that game. So this is the one that you guys chose. Wizard Kings, and it's a block game from Columbia Game. Fantasy. There is, now you say, Meandering Mike, you normally play games solitaire. How are you going to play a block game that doesn't have information? Well, you can do that. You can play them with the blocks face up. You just play it like a normal standard war game without the fog of war. And in fact, one of the scenarios in here is designed as the beginner solitaire friendly, where you can play it by yourself or without the hidden movement. So I will play that one. It's the elves versus the undead. So this will be one of my games for 2024 on the War Rooms 10 game challenge. And that will meet my commitment to my viewers who voted as this title to be played. So let me move that over here. Now, some of you may recognize some of these games here. I'll move them closer so you can see that here a little better. All right, I have on my channel unboxed all 5 of these games, and I have actually played one of them. This is one of the games that I played in 2023 on my 10 game challenge. I'm going to play it again. Why is that, you say, Meandering Mike? Well, there's 2 reasons. One, for the 2024 War Rooms 10 game challenge, there's a bonus that you can get if you replay one of the games you had on a previous year's challenge. So I chose this one, and if you play that again, you can get 1 bonus drawing for their gift giveaway for people who complete their challenge. Now, these 5 games that I've already unboxed on the channel, these are all American Revolutionary War battles in the Western frontier, all near the Mississippi River for most of them. Pensacola is farther east in Florida. The Florida Territory at that time ranged all the way from Florida all the way up to like the Mississippi River. Basically, that was Spanish territory. There was no, Mississippi and Alabama back then. It was, here is Florida, and boom, there's Louisiana. Those territories. These I'm going to actually play as a campaign. There is no official campaign game, but I'm going to play them in chronological order that they happened. This happened in September of 1780. These here happened in May of 1780. No. 1779, sorry. September 1779, May 1780. This happened in August of 1780. Not to be mistaken for there's 2 smaller attacks on Fort Jefferson in June and July, little raids, but the big battle, the Fort Jefferson attack was in end of August 1780, and then Battle of Pensacola was April 1781. So I'm going to play those, and the victor of each game of the particular side, whether the British or sometimes they're fighting against the Spanish, sometimes they're fighting against the American colonists and or French guys. So there's a mix of Spanish and French and Americans versus British or natives. Like this is almost all the Chickasaw Indians attacking here. But I will give a bonus reward to the winner of one game. In the next game, they will get a bonus on the card draw, where at one point they can decide to redraw a card. Now, this is, if you're familiar with the playthroughs I've done, it's not card driven, it's card assisted game, where each turn you're using a card to determine how many movement activations and unit attacks you get, plus there's a random event. So all in one card, you draw one card, you do that each turn. Some of the events on the cards can be very constricting and problematic, and so having the ability to, as a bonus for having won the previous battle, deciding, I want to redraw a card. Let me look at the next card and I'll choose which one I want. That's not a huge advantage, but it could be critical to help you avoid defeat. So that's how I'm going to do this campaign game here. More on that. I'm not going to start. I believe this is going to be the first game I'm going to play of the year here, coming up shortly. So those 5 games, that's 5 games on my list. So I'm going to set those there, leave them there. Now over here, you've seen me. I'm going to take this one off the bottom. I have unboxed this one, Struggle for Zorn, Red Blight. This is by Herman Lutman and Fred Manzo and Ryan Heilman. So I am going to play that one. I'm not sure about the order. I may play this one somewhere in the middle of, as I'm doing these, one at a time. I might insert a gameplay, or I might finish all 5 of these first, and then maybe do that. I'm anxious to get this one to the table, so but I want to start here first because there's so many of these. Get at least this process started. All right. Here's another Herman Lutman game in magnificent style. There has been some controversy about this game on BGG. There was a review. I believe I mentioned it somewhere on one of my videos. I talked a little bit about it, but I wanted to play this game before I commented on that thread where there's the controversy. This is about Pickett's charge last day of Gettysburg. This is another Herman Lutman game. So Herman's going to get some action time this year, because here's another one. Crowbar. Let me move that forward. This, in fact, is leveraged off of this system. It's not identical. There's some changes to the system, but basically it's a push your luck, striving to advance against the odds, how fast, how far you go. This is Rangers at Point du Hoc, Crowbar. This is storming of these cliffs, that were there in between the Utah and Omaha beachheads. There was this big, like more than 100-foot tall cliff, and the Rangers stormed that. So this is going to see some more action, or see action this year, and part of my thing. So more Herman Lutman thing, and leveraging off of just like these are all a series of game, leveraging off the fact that it's, you learn one of these and 90 to 95% of how to play all the rest, because there's some minor changes in each one, some special rules and stuff, but for the most part, it's identical. This is a similar system. This is totally different, but that's fine. But I've played States of Siege games before, and these Columbia Block games. Now, I have not yet played one, but that's sort of like for the future, leveraging off this, learning how to play this one. So that's my sort of theme in 2024 is leveraging systems, learning much system games. And that's just the odd man out. But it's Herman Lutman, so what the heck. Now, Meandering Mike, what's all this stuff over here, you ask? Okay, these are my 10 games for the year. I am not just going to play 10 games in the year. I am going to hopefully play more. Now, I'm not committing to them, but these are all things that are in some way related to all these, in a sense, a stretch goal. I would like to get to these here, potentially in supplement to this. Just like last year, I mentioned wanting to play more of these. Well, I'm getting it to now in 2024. And, I had mentioned the States of Siege game. I wanted to play more. Well, this is it here I had played the Israeli Independence in 2023. Here's this one. Well, what's all this? Well, here, for example, that's Herman Lutman's In Magnificent Style. This is the original version of this. This is from Victory Point Games. This was released by Worthington Games. Now, I'm not going to necessarily play this twice to see if... I don't think there's any rules difference. But I was thinking of doing a contrast and compare video to show the component difference, how it was packaged. And this happens to be out of print now, too. So right now, but I still think this is easier to get than this. But I'm assuming at some point they'll reprint this. But that's an example of, leveraging more stuff. What's this? This is by Stephen Kling Jr. He is the guy that creates all these. This is the Historical Game Company. They have 25 games out right now. 26. There's some. I own 24 or 25 of them. They're not all this exact system. There's a couple of other systems that are slightly. There's some that are not hex and counter, but area movement that use a bunch of custom dice and things like that. There's 2 of those. And then there's a Great Northern War that I think has a different system than this, but I'm not certain. But this is his wonderful quote unquote textbook. It's actually a series of articles by different people. He's edited it sort of as a textbook, a collection of articles. But it's amazing. I've talked to this before when I did a after action review of Fort Jefferson and talked about some of the literature. But I am going to try to incorporate some of this knowledge as we're playing these games, sort of talking about what happened in between the seams of these games. I wanted to play these as a campaign, but I'll sort of try to do a little video as here's the lead up to Baton Rouge and we play it. And then I'll say, if I have a non-historical result, I'll make up a little story as we lead into the next ones of how maybe history is different a little bit. Now, that might be a little too ambitious. I'm not going to do a major, video production or something, but I'll just try to make up, a little historical narrative in my head to help fill in the cracks between these games as I play them as a campaign, especially if I have a non-historical result in one. I'll try to make something up. So, now, Crowbar has an expansion. If I have time, I will play this. This allows you to play as the Germans. This year, the Rangers. But this has a whole bunch of other scenarios, I think, both for either Ranger play or playing as the Germans. So that's a potential way to expand on this. I believe it doesn't say it on this box. Normally, these guys always list the designer credit, but it's an expansion for Herman's game, Crowbar. So I'm assuming he did the expansion too, but it doesn't say that, so I'd actually have to look that up to be certain. Well, good old Herman. He is very a prolific game designer. Vultures lead the way. Well, this is another leverage of this in Magnificent Style Crowbar. I mean, I don't know if this one's closer to this or this. There was some changes in activation and movement and kind of some of the stuff here that I've vaguely read a little bit. I know there's some differences, and I'm not sure if this one is more like this one or that one or not. But it's another push your luck, but it's sci-fi. The vultures are fighting off the aliens. Unique push your luck core game mechanics. So that's a stretch goal to maybe get that in. And back to in Meandering Style Pickett's Charge, I might want to do a compare and contrast, play some other games specifically on just Pickett's Charge. This is White Dog Games. Michael Kennedy, he's actually the principal owner of White Dog Games, but he's also a game designer. And so this is his original version. This is his later version of it. So I may, if I have time, play these, or just do a compare and contrast between like these two versions and how it, say, stacks up against something like In Magnificent Style. And if I have time, and leveraging systems. So here's all these Historical Game Company. Here are two more by the Historical Game Company set in the American Revolutionary War. Now, Saratoga is 1777, and Yorktown is 1781, of course, critical battle. I didn't want to do a campaign of all like 7 games. These are over here are all in the west, up and down the Mississippi and nearby on the South Gulf Coast. But if I have time, I will play these also. See if I can have experienced his entire run of American Revolution. Now, there's another game, like I mentioned, there's 2 that are in a different system that use like area type movement with dice, custom dice. Stephen King did a Road to Independence, American Revolution, the whole 1775 to 78 that covers the whole war, just like his other one was on the French and Indian War for that thing. So that's these are individual battles. Well, that's a whole operational / strategic type game. So I'm not going to play maybe in a future year, but if I have a chance, I'll get to these also. So we'll have played the entire set of Historical Game Company Revolutionary War games. All right, and finally here we're getting down to the end. All the supplemental stuff is 2 more States of Siege game. If I have time, in 2024, I'll cram in more States of Siege games. These 2 here are by Darren Leveloff. He is the guy who basically invented the States of Siege system with that Israeli independence. I'm going to zoom back a little bit here. You can see that title better. There we go. So Ottoman Sunset. So this is obviously covering the Ottomans Empire, the Turks in World War I. And this is Habsburg Eclipse, which is covering the Austro-Hungarian Empire during World War I. As the forces close in on them and, everything collapses and the Central Powers lose World War I. So these are each separate States of Siege game. You can link the 2. Now, I don't know if I'll do that. If I have time, I'll play one or the other, maybe both. But again, this whole stack over here, these are all stretch goals for me. So there might be a chance I might only get 1 or 2 or 3 of these in the year, or they might end up in my 2025 shooting and playing schedule. So that is Meandering Mike, his 2024 The War Room's 10 War Game list for this new year. If you want to participate, there is still time. Right now, I am filming this on Sunday, was it the 28th? So January 31st, Wednesday, is the deadline to enter the challenge. You can find the rules on their Facebook group called TAC, T-A-C, Up Wargaming on Facebook. I will put the link in the description. You can go there. You can find the rules. I'll try to put a link right to the post about that. There's also some discussion and clarification in their live show yesterday, Saturday. So if I have time for that, I'll try to find the exact link, the time offset into that video and post a link to that, where you can find where they discuss the rules and all that. But if you want to do that and commit, your 10 games with the rules that they have, plus the rules for potential bonus. If you just want to make a list and track yourself, encourage yourself, the idea is it's not necessarily hard to play 10 games in a year. It is hard to commit to 10 games at the start of the year and to follow through on it. Because while you're intention, new games come out. Oh, shiny, look at this, look at that. You want to play this and that. So can you stick with it? So that's the challenge here is, can you pick 10 and get them all played along with the certain rules? Like you got to finish 2 of them by the end of April, and you got to get 2 more, so 4 total by the end of July, things like that. But there's some rules for some ways to get some bonus draw chances. So if you're interested, check that out. Or you could just, if you decide to join, let me know. Post a comment if you're actually doing the whole thing, or if you decide that you want to just pick 10 games and just do it in a more informal setting. Let me know maybe what your 10 games are or would be, or whatnot. But yeah, if you decide to join, let me know. So like I said, you'll find a whole bunch of links down in the description. I'll put the links to the 3 gentlemen that host the War Room. They alternate between their different channel who hosts it. It's always on Saturdays, 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern time. And that's usually 97% of the weekends they do. They didn't do one the weekend before, or two weekends ago, but normally they have it every time. So that's a lot of fun. So Meandering Mike's gonna call it quits there. Here's my 10 games. Here's my umpteen extra games that. My eyes are, always bigger. Your eyes are bigger than your stomach, as they say. Well, my appetite for games, and I was like, well, I want to play everything I have, but I was like, oh my God, I have so many things and so many other things I'm doing that, I finished my 2023. I got them all done. I did not finish 2022, but let's see if I can also do 2024 with some bonus stuff. So, all you good folks out there, take care. Enjoy your gaming. Of whatever kind you like, war games or Euro games, miniature games, card games, you name it. Just enjoy your games. All right, folks. Bye, y'all.